Hey guys, and welcome to another aggressive Vandal gameplay commentary video. You keep asking for more, so here we are at one of the most underrated spawn locations on the north side of the map, prepping for a quick push into Abandoned Mall, which was a high tier loot location this match. We are getting closer and closer to the closed playtests and Season 1 launch, so make sure you're subscribed with notifications on to keep up to date with all the latest information. I covered why this spawn is great in a previous video, but basically there are a ton of consumables and supplies within a small radius, and it allows you to push into Abandoned Mall with enough heals and ammo to last over multiple fights and third parties. In this particular match, I managed to grab 2 sanguine buffs before pushing out to find some enemies, giving me a massive advantage in the early game fights. The disadvantage, however, is with the lack of weapon spawns nearby, it will force you into another more populated area with potentially a poor weapon loadout, which is the case in this match. This doesn't slow me down, however, as I begin to push my first victim with a now nerfed crossbow, inflicting only 40 or so hit points before repositioning to get the high ground. Heading up to the top would also place me closer to weapon spawn locations, in case I find anything better than the crossbows I had. But hearing footsteps behind me somewhere, I grabbed the first thing I could find and pushed down to the fleeing player below. After stunning the enemy and using all of the included marksman bullets, I quickly grabbed the nearby LMG to finish off the weak player, which worked out well as I was able to diablerize them before any other players could get to me. The dual crossbows are amazing weapons on paper, but I find them difficult to use with their slow bullet velocity, so I immediately swap them out for the lovely golden SMG and push for nearby shotgun shots. Seeing an enemy nearby, I attempt to slam them, but miss by a few meters as they run around the corner. With the SMG's fast reload speed, I'm able to immediately follow and take them out, and manage to get the diab in before moving on to find other nearby players. I swap out my LMG for a drop toggler for better accuracy at range and attempt to find the source of the footsteps that I could hear. I head to the high ground and use my focus ability to make it easier to find the player as they get closer. They soon run directly below me and I'm able to slam them. Even though I take a heavy hit from a shotgun, I'm still able to down them with my SMG through their vanish. I grab the execution before anyone else turns up and start prepping for the next fight. To my surprise, however, someone had heard all of the fighting from just around the corner and was pushing in fast. Having avoided the worst of the damage, I head to the level above to armor up as my passive heal deals with my hit points. Having used all of my pistol ammo, I swap the SMG out for the revolver, and with 2 ranged weapons, I switch the toggler to automatic mode, which was definitely a good idea as you'll see in just a moment. I could have also used one of my syringes to increase my health regeneration, but with the enemy nearby, I was more focused on pushing the fight than making sure I had all of my hit points. I tried to stay mobile so as not to be an easy target, and figure out where they might be attacking from next. Knowing that the player is a Brujah, I had to be careful not to get slammed, as that could end in an early trip back to the Elysium. A well-placed revolver shot later, and with both of their abilities on cooldown, it was the moment to strike. With the automatic toggler and my slam available, it gave me a huge DPS burst, and the enemy stood no chance. Another diab to unlock my last resonance slot, and time to go grab that golden SMG before moving out of the area. I swapped the toggler with a purple LMG for a higher magazine capacity and faster reloads, which would complement my aggressive playstyle and SMG better than the toggler, which is designed for longer range engagements. Of course, however, my first engagement after dropping the toggler was the exact range at which the toggler would have been useful, and my LMG refused to cooperate. Fortunately, however, the enemy was on a Bloodhunt, and I could see if they ran away or not, so I was confident in pushing the building, knowing that they were not blocking the access, and with my leap ability I could easily clear the spots where I would first be in sight. The enemy leaped just in time to dodge my slam, and was able to slam me on his way down, which is one of my favourite Vandal moves to pull off. I managed to deal a huge amount of damage with my SMG, but then mess up the wall jump while chasing them, and end up falling down, giving the enemy time to escape. With the Bloodhunt still giving me their location, however, I knew that they would be in the pharmacy that I had looted at the start of the game. I also knew that there would be some consumables left inside, so they would most likely attempt to heal up. Sure enough, I turned up while they were mid-blood bag, and finishing them off was fairly easy, considering they had less than 100 hit points remaining. Having no need to diablerize the enemy, or heal any hit points, I finished them off with my SMG, which is quicker than a melee finish. If you're trying to level up, however, diablerizing your enemies will give you a large amount of XP, and will be a big boost at the end of the match. Having cleared the general area, I start grabbing some blood resonance buffs as I move closer to the center of the next zone. My ideal setup for this match will be 3 melancholic buffs for 50% cooldown on my movement ability, 3 sanguine buffs for the best passive healing rate, and a phlegmatic, if I had the time, for 2 seconds off my slam ability. If you're enjoying the video, please remember to hit the like button and consider following me on other platforms. I will leave links to my Twitch, TikTok and Twitter accounts below. as well as a link to join my Discord server. After having a steady flow of incoming enemies in the early stage of the match, it took me a while before I found some more action. There are a few things you can do, however, if you're looking for more players in a quiet area, as some players will be trying to hide and some are just yet to be found. My favourite trick is to shoot a car or two around 50 to 100 meters away. This works best with a silenced SMG, but any weapon will do. It will set the alarms off, creating an interest point for nearby enemies. People will generally head to the rooftops to get a view on what is happening, allowing you to see them from your position and push in. I wouldn't advise doing this too close to your own location, as you never know just how many people are hidden nearby, and it could easily end up in an ambush. On the flip side, be careful if you hear car alarms nearby. It isn't necessarily a clumsy noob trying to climb a wall, and could be bait to get you to pop your head out. Some other things you can use to find players are more situational awareness based, and will require other players to do a certain action first. For example, have you ever noticed that mortals will scream if they see you climbing a wall nearby? Well, this is shown on the map and minimap by a small red circle from the location of a mortal for a second or two. Not game breaking, but it will let you know that someone was at that location moments ago. I used this in my previous Muse gameplay video to find a hidden saboteur player on the edge of the map, so be aware that your location may have been revealed if you hear a scream nearby. Also, pay attention to the kill feed, as it will tell you when players have entered a Bloodhunt. You can then see them marked on the map and push in if they're in your area. In this match, for example, the Bloodhunted player was almost on the opposite side of the map, so making that my focus would be a bad idea, as they would likely have either finished their timer by the time I get there, or already be dead. I end up finding some players mid-combat on my travels, and push the one who appeared to have the advantage. I leap over them, but with my slam on cooldown, I drop right behind them and deal a good chunk of damage before they vanish nearby. With the sound cues, I was able to tell that they had not dropped down to street level, and after an awkward fight, I end up getting the down with little health remaining. I had heard some footsteps behind me as I was engaging, so I finish my kill and try and put as much distance from the dead player as possible. With the shotgun pellets tickling my bottom, I knew I had made the right move. I turn around to gauge how close the enemy was, and end up dealing a decent amount of damage to even out the fight. With my passive heals and leap cooldown working overtime, I head to the roof to heal up to max hit points before the incoming enemy could catch me. Fortunately, the player I had killed previously had dropped some armor plates, as I didn't have any entering the fight. With the chasing Nosferatu nowhere in sight, I hear the vanish sound nearby, and suddenly the hunter became the hunted. I slide off the roof and slam the unsuspecting enemy, who was downed as they hit the ground. A quick finish and I grab the golden assault rifle for my ideal loadout. I head to the rooftops to scout out any other potentially incoming players. But with no one in sight, I start to patrol the edge of the incoming zone, to hopefully catch one of the 5 remaining players rotating in. I check the map for any signs of nearby enemies, and a quick look around before heading towards the buildings near Graveyard to cover the southern side of the zone. I end up practicing the double jump and some movement conservation while rotating, which worked out pretty smooth, I thought. After pretending to be a vampire Bugs Bunny over the entire block, I head for the high ground once more, only to find a nearby Toreador heading towards the next zone. I decide to introduce myself in the only way I know how to. The player took one look at me and decided to run away as fast as possible. I'm used to this kind of reaction when I meet people, so I quickly follow them to talk about their car's extended warranty, but it seemed that they would rather drop dead instead. I waste no time in taking all of their personal belongings, and moving on to find out if the next player would be more interested in my newly acquired parkour skills. As luck would have it, I didn't have to travel far before finding my next victim, as they'd basically handed themselves over for a death sentence by accident. I almost felt bad for the player, who didn't even have time to use their vanish ability, before being demolished into a pile of weapons and consumables, allowing me to head out of the area in search of the remaining 2 players. I should have stayed in the same area, however, as I had missed the player hidden in the graveyard and the other would have been nearby. Did you see the player? The remaining 2 enemies would eventually meet and fight as I headed to the final zone, thinking that they were already trying to secure the area and gatekeep the access from the rooftops. This was the smart choice to get good positioning for the final showdown and give me more chance of winning the match, but a mistake in terms of high kills, as a lot of players lag behind with the gas as it pushes them in. Before cutting to the final fight, I wanted to give you some tips and show you a smart way of rotating into the final zone. I will generally start heading to the final zone as soon as it is shown on the map. This is an important step, as the zone reduces from a large size to just a building or 2 and can create hallways through which multiple people are going to have to travel through. In this match, there are only 2 remaining enemies, so it's not much of an issue. But when you have 5 or more people all trying to rotate, you don't want to get pinched between two people or teams in a small area surrounded by gas. It is much easier to be in or near the final zone and pressure people as they travel through tight areas. Another thing you can do is rotate through the gas itself. This works particularly well with odd-shaped zones, as you can effectively take a shortcut while also being concealed from enemies, giving you an easy way to access the zone without worrying too much about being shot from behind, and a shorter route to get there faster than anyone else. Be aware on how many gas neutralizers you have and use. They can come in very handy in the last few fights, and with a restricted play area, you want to avoid using all of them just to avoid a fight on the way in. I end up securing the zone and holding down the gas-formed hallway from any incoming players, but the last surviving enemy managed to slip through by rotating inside the gas in a similar way I did. I still had the high ground however, and I knew where they were entering the zone from, so I could easily get a surprise attack in. My surprise attack didn't go well. I get flashed as I slam down and have to abandon the original plan and think on my feet. With contemporary art acting as my meat shield and my SMG tearing through the enemy's armor, I had taken the advantage in the fight and leaped to the high ground to put some distance from the shotgun wielding maniac. With my syringe and passive heals keeping my hit points topped up, I am able to push just at the right time and the rest is history. Thanks for watching the full match. Type Valkyrie in the comments to let me know that you got this far, and if you want to catch me streaming other games while Bloodhunt is down, follow me on Twitch, where I try to stream a few times a week.